Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and bald-headed babies and people of Frankston, students, teachers and all the people in the house. I'm Dion Brownfield, this is the co-director Michael Farrah. Before we start talking, we just want to acknowledge our elders, both past and present. We're on Monorock country. Auntie Caroline Briggs is a traditional owner and I'd like to acknowledge her and all the elders past and present and just feel privileged to be on this country. We're so excited to do this presentation to you guys and we're going to have so much fun, so enjoy the ride. Basically, the introduction sort of summed up what we do. We're basically a company that works on the principle of arts for change. First of all, I'd like to ask my brother here, Michael, to ask a question that we ask young people, black, white, pink, purple and orange, from all over the country and all around the world. This same question, and we ask it to everyone. Carry it away.
Basically, it's a little bit like this. Everyone's different and unique in their own way, but there's something that brings us all together. And the question I'm going to ask you is this. Hands up if you like music. Right, if your hands down, go see a doctor, there's something wrong with you. Right? And we had a doctor earlier, you can speak to her if you like. That's what brings us together, and we're just using the power of music and what music brings to the table, which is movement, emotion. Let's not even call it dance. Let's call it expression.
Indigenous Hip Hop Projects. We're basically a bunch of artists. When I say a bunch of artists, we always offer the best talent, the best that there is to offer in b-boying, hip-hop, graffiti art, filmmakers, DJs, MCs, beatboxers, just basically a whole collective of the most talented, amazing young people, and we take that to remote, regional and urban communities all around Australia. We visit approximately 55 communities every year. Most of the time it's in week-long capacity. Together, Michael and I, and with the company, we've visited over 250 Indigenous communities, most of those remote all around Australia. And we are the luckiest people on this planet because we have been welcomed with open arms into this amazing, beautiful country. We have an extreme passion for young people, and obviously that's all young people, and we do have a very multicultural team, which you're going to see a bit later on. That's made up of obviously a lot of Indigenous artists, but also a lot of different artists from all different cultural backgrounds. We also are very proud to basically pretty much offer the cutting edge, sort of high quality, high production, the best possible quality that we can bring to community, because that's what Aboriginal people deserve and that's what young people deserve. And yeah, I'm very proud to say that, yeah, it's been an awesome journey, and we're going to like sort of give you a bit of a introduction on how we work in our best practice around the country. And when you see me do this, that means that the screen goes. How crazy is that? So yeah, like I was saying, we utilise the skills of all those people all over the country, from say the Kimberley, Pilbara, all throughout the Northern Territory. Northern Territory being Barkly Shire, Vic Daly Shire, all throughout East and West Arnhem, all the islands up the top, the beautiful islands up the top of the NT, from Warrawee to Minjalang to the Tiwi, right into the Gulf, up to the Torres Strait and the Cape, all the way down to Cairns and the beautiful rainforest region of this country, down all the way through New South Wales, both the western sort of desert part, all the beautiful northern coast of New South, down to Lake Tyers in Canberra, straight down to here, all the way to Frankston. We've been here quite a few times and had a lot of fun with young people here, and obviously really, really getting chilled out in Tassie. And it's been an awesome journey. So yeah, basically we use, like I said, art, music, media to engage and develop and influence positive change. Okay, so that's what we do. Our aims and objectives, basically just trying to really, it's not just about hip hop, it's about the messages that go with it, okay? It's about us basically putting a few ideas around, primarily around health, around culture, around education, and really touching on those messages. I think that's the key to the success of our company, is that, it's about using music and dance and art as a tool of engagement, but then be able to deliver some really positive, strong messages. Also, Mike, what else we got there? The positive mental health. Michael's a big believer in, before we can create any sort of change, that people need to be in the right frame of mind before that they can actually adopt that change and have that transformational change. So you want to talk about the mental health side of it?
Yeah, basically, we go into every community in every situation, making sure that people feel that they're perfect the way they are. We're not there to actually tell people what to do, and actually we accept them for exactly the way they are, and using their strengths as a means to actually bring out some sort of confidence, some sort of self-esteem, some sort of mental health for us is a priority, because if everyone's confident enough to at least express themselves through music, and that's what we can talk about because that's what we do, then you're breaking a little barrier. And most people have a couple of fears around public speaking and a couple of fears around public movement, right? Most people, I'd have to say 99% of people, right? Because if I just ask everyone to get up and dance right now, some of you will. And the funny thing is you have a 5-year-old, we do workshops with, little kids. As soon as they hear music, they're fully self-expressed, right? As soon as you get to high school, body, physical, everything changes, hormones are jumping everywhere, and you start to go, oh no, shame, I can't, da-da-da. So we just tap into the little thing that everyone's got, which is freedom. Freedom through creativity. We've all got a creative side in our brain, and we try to tap into that. That's basically it, yeah.
Also, just really big focus on trying to get kids into school. Education is really a big thing for us, and just trying to have that retention in school. So we work a lot with schools, and there's also a whole bunch of workers around the top end now that are called truancy officers that the government have created roles where there's particular community members that really just try and drive around and just get kids out of bed and into school. So that's a big focus, and pretty much the majority of our work is all around health campaigns, so delivering really sensitive health campaigns around sexual health, around mental health, and also, things like just really, really sensitive stuff that probably most people would just really shy away from, but we love it. We love to throw ourselves in the deep end. So I'm going to go to the next situation, which I'm really excited to talk about, and that is a thing called the Real HipHop. We basically, when I got thrown the topic around changing, and like challenging perceptions, we cop a really big wall in some communities that we go into around culture and around hip-hop. And the style of hip-hop that we represent is based on the Zulu nation, which is all about, like I've mentioned up there, peace, love, unity, hope, and respect. And, people that started it off in the mid to late 70s, this is people like Africa Bambaataa, like DJ Kool Herc, like KRS-One, and even in Australia, like DJ Peril, who belongs to the Zulu nation. They basically work on that whole formula with their expression, okay? Now, obviously, with what we get pumped in radio and TV and so forth, we do get some sort of hip-hop that, like I've set up here, is, the gangster styles glorifying that antisocial behaviour, the derogatory style, that sometimes racist stuff. And, obviously, Michael and myself, we do not promote that in communities. That's like the last thing that we promote. So we just roll with this essence of the real hip-hop. And I encourage everyone to look up the Zulu Nation, because that's how we sort of base our formula on. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out.
But we also need to educate ourselves as to why there's so much, I suppose, violent language in hip-hop. And if we go back, like Dion said, a lot of people don't know that hip-hop started around the 70s, right? It's just a form of expression, as opposed to as opposed to violence. And all we can do is get, because we've got a time frame, but all we can do is get everyone educated in the sense that if you can go back and just look up hip-hop if you need to and see where it came from, you'll find that there was gang-related stuff that turned from violence into expression through music and dance, right?
Let's go to this next amazing topic, which is the biggest challenge of all for us, and particularly our Indigenous population. And another challenge that we face, again, around culture and around change, is this notion of the traditional Indigenous culture, right? Which I'll get Michael to turn around and actually have a look at. But basically, culture for me and Michael is not a stagnant thing, right? It's constantly evolving and influenced by art, by politics, by the environment, by the internet, by everything you can think of. And what we are challenged with is an absolute obsession with Indigenous affairs and a passion and almost like embarrassment over the colonisation of Indigenous people 225 years ago, and that, that poisoning of traditional culture. So we have this battle with trying to engage and work closely with elders and trying to preserve that beautiful culture and that spirit and all the things that, Michael, do you want to talk about traditional culture that we've learned in the community?
They're both earth-based things, and what I mean by that is hip-hop is an earth-based dance. Traditional culture, Indigenous culture, is an earth-based dance. Any Indigenous dance is an earth-based dance. So there's already a connection there. And
connection to country, yeah?
Yeah, connection to country. I'll physically show you an earth-based dance. In hip-hop, you never straighten your legs, you bend your knees. A lot of cultural dance that have been taught by me, by elders, is knees bent, whether it's shake a leg, right? Whether it's stamping, we're bending our knees. So already there's a connection from, so there's a similarity there. In Torres Strait, we got talked to as in men's business, let's say, but not true, real men's business. We just got educated. Beautiful thing that the elder told us is, like Dion said, Aboriginal culture, Indigenous culture is not documented, so it's forever changing. The young people's dreaming is what's happening today. So when they have grandkids and kids, they can talk about the positive things that they're doing in their community. And that's all we're hoping to bring to the community, is that you young people can talk about the fun dancing that you've done, whether it's shake a leg or whether it's hip hop, it's still positive, it's still creating a good energy. And in essence, that's what traditional culture is. Food, corroboree, family, and land.
And language.
Language. There's no real connection to materialistic things. There's no connection to the big houses and the fancy cars.
Or the Facebook.
Yeah. Now, hang on. We're not saying it doesn't happen. I've seen little kids rock the iPads, going through it. So there's this thing with young people in remote community or young Indigenous people going, I've got my modern way, but I've also got my traditional way. And what we make sure that we also speak to young people about is identity. And the identity is through both, trying to somehow fuse that. And again, we're so lucky because we're talking about hip-hop and music.
And self-expression.
And self-expression. So it's actually not that hard for us to do. And from my experience, most remote communities, most young Aboriginal kids love country and Western music and hip-hop.
So
nothing else in between, really, right?
And we're always really challenged because we have to build up trust with the elders and we have to build up trust with the young people. So it's kind of always this balancing act of really like honouring and treasuring traditional way, but also trying to bring the young people back to their culture and back to that identity and all that pride, which really feeds their spirit and feeds their soul and makes them feel powerful and strong. And it's that constant balance and trying to keep everyone happy. That's why whenever we go into community, we always sit down and listen. And that's the most important thing, is to go in and not assume or expect that you know everything, that you go in and you listen and you give everyone time and you go in with a respectful way. And that's all about just creating a safe space. But what we'll do is we'll move on because we're going to the next little tile here, which is, boom, our formula. This is basically our formula, the way we work with best practice in community, which we want to share with everyone. The top one, creating a safe space, pretty much speaks for itself. It's a safe space, not just physically in terms of actually spreading people out so they don't hit themselves or knock themselves, but it's also about how they feel emotionally. So, for example, when we start, we don't force anyone to do anything, and we make sure that if people aren't comfortable with people watching, that we remove those people from the room, and it's all about participation and keeping it safe.
I suppose a good example of that, if we've got a room of 20 young people and let's say 18 of them want to get up and dance, right, or participate. So the two that are sitting down, they get encouraged by the staff, which is the dancers, the workers. If they don't want to dance, they can hold a camera and get some footage. If they don't want to do that, they can press play. So they're involved one way or another. And we encourage that as much as we can, to the point where we won't put up with young people sitting there laughing or teasing or humbugging or, saying shame and that to the other participants that have said, yes, we want to give it a go. So our role is to create that safe space.
Working on people's strengths. So really playing to people's strengths and what they're good at and making them feel like that they're really special is a big thing for us. So not trying to make them or force them into doing something that they're not happy with and making them feel positive. Obviously, building trust is a huge one. Takes us a good couple of days to build trust with young people when we're in community. They don't know us at all. We're all foreign, but we do have something pretty exciting to share with them. And by building trust, what we do straight away when we get to community is we put on a show. And that instantly they go, oh, wow, and they want to learn and they're really drawn to us and they're really engaged. The other main things are making it high energy and fun, which you guys are going to experience pretty much during the break, which we can't wait for. Working in a really culturally appropriate way, which involves basically liaising with a community cultural advisor and a community cultural safety officer, and just really being really respectful around sacred sites and what's appropriate and what's not. And obviously the last one is basically work really hard to revisit community and do a follow-up, because we don't want to be seen as a fly-in, fly-out service that just comes in, creates a lot of hype, opens up a whole can of worms and then leaves and doesn't come back. Follow-up is the most important thing, by phone, by Facebook, and obviously ultimately to try and get more funding, to try and get back to revisit, because once you go back the second time and the third and fourth time, the trust is already there. It's like you walk in, high fives, music's on, let's roll, you know? Breaking the cycle. We don't believe in closing the gap. We work on the strengths. So for us in our company, it's about breaking the cycle. It's about breaking the cycle of healthier choices. So creating basically better choices and educating people about making those choices, right? Whether that's emotional or whether that's physical. Basically, strong culture is strong health. The communities around Australia that have the strongest culture are the healthiest communities, so that's a really big thing for us. Basically, educating in an innovative and culturally appropriate way. It's really important for us that language and culture is included in the education, and we need to make it fun, and we need to really vamp up that, and I'm looking forward to see where the government's going to head with it, because at the moment, there's a lot of failures across the board, which we're all aware of. The other one is moving from dependence to independence. I'm really talking there about welfare, trying to really break that cycle of being dependent on welfare, and that involves getting educated, getting skilled, getting work, so you can then have your money to support yourself and your family, and basically live a really independent and free life like most of us here in Melbourne enjoy. The other ones is the severe generational trauma, trying to break that down. So where you and I might go through two big episodes of trauma in our life, most Indigenous young people go through 7 big traumas by the time they're 7 years old. You know, that's like losing their mum, their dad, or seeing something horrific, or going through all these awful things. So that sort of stuff over the 3 or 4 generations has been a really big part of really sort of squashing their self-esteem and so forth. Here we go. Everybody's different. Everyone's all the same. Every one of us here in this room and all around in the world, we've got different levels of development. We've got different beliefs, different cultures, different levels of courage, different competitive spirits. We're all different in so many different ways. But the other side of it is we're all very similar in a lot of ways. So, we all have got heaps of feelings and emotions, and we all bleed and we laugh and we cry and so forth. And I guess the most important for us is we all have the ability to fit in. We all have the ability to make the right choices, right? And we all have ability to change and make a difference, okay? So the next concept that we're going to bring up, last of all, is basically making a difference. We believe on strong body, strong mind, strong spirit, strong culture. That's our ethos. Respect. Michael, do you want to talk about the other little situations here?
A lot of people have a lot of questions, and the biggest question we get asked, what's hip-hop got to do with everything that you're talking about? You know, what's it got to do with it? Very simple. If you can tap into young people, young and old people's minds, and say, I have enough respect for myself, I have enough confidence to just get up and dance, that means I can almost do anything. Respecting your mind, respecting your body, as in getting an education for your mind, eating the right food. So we base the whole thing, all those things, around respect. We actually explain respect, what it means to us, but then we ask young people, what does respect mean to them? Simple, throwing a wrapper on the floor. Is that respecting the land? And kids will be like, no. Right?
They said the wind's going to come and just blow it away, sir.
They get it, they get it. But then it's funny, when you're doing it in the form of a dance workshop, it's funny how it sinks in. And that we can only base on 9 years of work, because originally it was just go out, have some fun, create some energy, create some positive vibes. But then all these outcomes came to fruition for us.
Respect, right, and responsibility.